All right, let's jump right in. We all have stories, don't we? I mean, these powerful experiences that totally shape who we are. But turning those personal moments into something that actually connects with people and inspires them, well, that's a whole other skill. And today, we're going to break down exactly how to do it. Oh, you know that feeling, right? You share something that was so important to you, something that felt massive, and you just get these blank stares. Or maybe a polite, oh, that's nice. It's so common, but hey, the good news is it's totally fixable. So here's our game plan. We're going to start with the power of experience by looking at a pretty unique case study. Then we'll pull out the big principles of sincere sharing. After that, we'll dive into the practical stuff, how to craft your delivery, what mistakes to avoid, and we'll wrap it all up by figuring out what makes a story truly unforgettable. Okay, to really get a handle on the power of sharing, we're going to look at a special environment where it's the main event, the Soka Gakkai discussion meeting. You can almost think of it like a storytelling dojo, a place where regular people get together and practice connecting through their life experiences. This quote from Daisaku Ikeda just perfectly captures the vibe. He's not just talking about meetings. He's describing these transformative spaces. The point isn't just to talk. It's to work together to turn suffering into real courage. And this gets to the why of it all, which is so important. In these meetings, sharing your story isn't about showing off or just listing things that happened. It's about offering what they call experimental proof of your own growth. Every story about getting through a tough time is meant to create this ripple of encouragement that gives other people hope for their own battles. This whole idea is tied to a core concept called human revolution. Basically, it's the belief that when you change yourself on the inside, when you turn your own despair into hope, it doesn't just affect your own life. It can literally set off a chain reaction that lifts up your entire community. The stories people share are supposed to be living, breathing examples of this in action. Okay, so using that powerful idea as a launchpad, let's zoom out and look at the universal principles. What makes any story connect, whether you're in a formal meeting or just talking to a friend over coffee? It really just comes down to this. Authenticity is everything. People can smell a performance from a mile away, so speaking from the heart is an absolute must. But it's also about respecting the person listening. Keep it short and sweet, and shift the focus from here's what happened to here's how it changed me. That's the part that's going to connect with their life. This right here, this is the huge mindset shift. Great storytelling is really an act of generosity. You're offering your experience like a gift, like a tool that someone else can use to maybe see their own way forward. It's about giving, not just telling. Okay, so we've got the philosophy down pat. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty. How do you actually build and deliver a story that really lands? These are tools that anyone can use for literally any kind of speech or presentation. This is a classic 6-step process, and trust me, it works. Now, every step is important, but a lot of people tend to rush the first and the last one. It all begins with knowing your audience. Who are you actually talking to? And it all ends with practice. Seriously, don't skip practicing. That's what makes your story sound effortless, not like you're reading a script. And this points to a trap we have all fallen into. It's so tempting to write out a full script, right? But reading it word for word just makes you sound like a robot and completely kills any chance for eye contact. The pro move? Use talking points. Just a few keywords. That way you can glance down, grab your next idea, and then look right back up to have a real connected conversation. So when you're up there telling your story, remember these 3 E's. First, energy. Let your passion for the topic show. Second, eye contact. Actually connect with people. Look at one person long enough to finish a thought, then move on to someone else. And third, expression. Use your face, use your body, show the emotion behind what you're saying. That is what makes your story feel alive. And please don't forget about the most powerful tool you have, your voice. Try not to speak in a monotone. Change up your pace. Slow down for the really important points and speed up when you get to an exciting part. Use your volume to create some drama. And never, ever underestimate the power of a good pause. Sometimes silence can be more impactful than any word you say. All right, we've gone over the do's, but the don'ts are just as critical. Seriously, avoiding these common mistakes can be the difference between a story that inspires people and one that just pushes them away. Let's just look at this side by side. The positive side is all about creating a space for everyone. You listen, you encourage other people, you stay humble. The negative side is all about making it about you. taking up all the time, saying the same things over and over, and just being self-centered. One builds connection, the other completely shatters it. Now, check this out. Here's a real-world comment from a discussion online about these meetings. This person's takeaway was that the stories were all about getting stuff, a car, a new job, money. This is a common critique you'll see, and it really highlights a potential trap when you're sharing any kind of success story. And that quote really gets to the core of the problem. When a story is only about the outcome, the new car, the promotion, it can start to feel less like an inspiring story and more like a sales pitch. The real power, remember, connects back to that idea of human revolution. It's the inner struggle and the change in who you are that people connect with, not just the prize at the end. So, to wrap up the pitfalls, these are the big ones that make an audience just completely check out. Dominating the conversation is number one, for sure. But having no eye contact and repeating yourself over and over are right behind. And like we just talked about, coming across like you're selling something is the fastest way to lose an audience's trust. Whew! We have covered a ton of ground, from the deep philosophy of sharing all the way to the practical nuts and bolts of delivery. So, how do we tie this all together? What's the one big idea you need to remember to make your story truly matter? This quote just says it all, doesn't it? You can have the most incredible story, the most polished delivery, but what people are going to carry with them is the emotion. Did your story make them feel seen? Did it make them feel hopeful, understood, inspired? That feeling, that's what lasts. So look, if you don't remember anything else, just remember these three things. 1, be authentic, because your realness is your superpower. 2, prepare with purpose, because having a clear structure makes your story easy to follow. And 3, always focus on the listener. Make your story a gift you're giving to them. And that really just leaves us with one final question for you to think about. When you look back on your own life, on your own struggles and your own breakthroughs, what is the one story that you have that someone else out there really, truly needs to hear?